What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Football Chat Box. My name is Ryan, and welcome to the Game Week 12 Wildcard Draft and Free Hit Draft video. So we'll be having both in this video, whether you're playing the Wildcard chip or the Free Hit chip. We've got it both covered. If you are new, welcome. Make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe button as well to help us to get to 2,500 subscribers. And let's get straight into the video where I will show you different players that you can look to try and get for your respective drafts, and also I'll show you at the end like a couple of solo analytics solves as well in terms of what they have done for a wildcard and a free hit option as well. Having said that, let's get straight into the video. All right, let's start. So I've got this on FPL.team and I've built a wildcard draft. As you can see, I'm 0.1 short. You guys might be slightly different. This is where we're going to be talking about some of the differences in terms of player changes and all. Let's start obviously with the bench. I've gone because that's where, depending on what chips you have left, you might be playing something slightly different. Now, on the bench, I've gone Dubravka, Mark Yu, O'Reilly, and Mukiele. Now, this is assuming you have already played the bench boost chip. If you haven't played the bench boost chip, then you probably won't be able to get Mark Yu. You'll have to go and find a different forward who is a bit more plain. Ideally, I would say someone like a Thiago. And if that is the case, that also has an impact on you owning a player like Mo Salah. Again, this depends on when you're playing the bench boost chip as well. Let's say you aren't playing the bench boost chip before the AFCON transfers and you're going to be playing it after, like post game week 16 and before game week 19 is when you plan on playing the bench boost chip. Then you can still go ahead with this because once Salah leaves, you'll have cash to be able to bring in like a Thiago for a Mark U upgrade. So you can do something like that as well. Just keep that in mind. All depends on when you want to play the bench boost chip if you still have it. Now, the other options, Dubravka, cheapest goalkeeper that plays. Mukiele I've picked is, I think I've gone for him as the most trustable. Out of the three promoted teams, I trust Sunderland the most for the ability to potentially keep clean sheets if needed, or even potentially get attacking return here and there, compared to either Leeds or Burnley options as well. That's why I've gone for him. Obviously, if I went for Joe Rodon, I will be able to afford this because Mukiele is like 4.2 right now. If I went for Joe Rodon, I can afford this. That's one way of approaching it as well. But I've gone for Mukiele. You'll have to make a few sacrifices here and there, depending on what your squad budget is as well. O'Reilly, I've gone because I think now, obviously, this week's fixture against Newcastle isn't great, but I think the City fixtures in defensive options going after that, Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Forest against Sunderland. I mean, those are some pretty good run of fixtures. And I think O'Reilly will become potentially an option. Obviously, Pep Roulette will have a play here and there. But I think out of the City players, in terms of a defensive option, and given the fact that his competition in Ain't Nouri will be heading off for AFCON as well, that does help in terms of the fact that O'Reilly's minutes should be a bit more hopefully secure. Obviously, Guardiola could still play that position, which is why Pep Roulette could hit here and there. But I think for the price he offers, for how he's playing right now, it's not too bad. Let's now get into the starting lineup. Now, I've gone for Verbruggen in goal, and this obviously can be Sanchez as well if you wanted. I don't mind Sanchez as well because of Chelsea's current set of fixtures, and he's least likely to get rotated compared to maybe some of the other Chelsea defenders. Like you got Burnley, Leeds, Everton. If you can rotate amongst those three, then Sanchez is not too bad. But the reason I've gone for Verbruggen along with Dubravka pairing is if you look at Brighton and Burnley right here, when Brighton play Liverpool, Burnley play Fulham. So you can rotate easily. And the same time when Burnley play Bournemouth and Newcastle, Brighton play West Ham and Sunderland. So there's a nice rotation there. And then when Brighton play Arsenal, Burnley play Everton. When Brighton plays City, Burnley play United, you probably start Dubravka potentially on that one, potentially. When Burnley play, obviously, Liverpool, Brighton play Bournemouth. So there's like a nice set of rotation pairing for some of the tougher fixtures, which is why I've gone for Bruggen and Dubravka as an option here. Now, do I think Brighton defense is going to be extremely solid? They've kept 2 clean sheets on the bounce. I still don't know. I'm still a bit more questionable on Brighton defense. However, if you were to pick between Louis Dunk and Van Heck or Verbruggen. I probably lean towards Verbruggen more than the Louis Dunk Van Heck options. Now, in the back three, I've gone for Senesi, Richards, and Julian Timber. Now that Gabriel is going to be rumored to be out for a month or 2 months, from the looks of it, Julian Timber, I think, is the next option. And I've gone for him because I still believe Arsenal defense is good and going to be elite. I still think, yes, the Gabriel injury could be a bit of an issue, but I think that's fine in terms of Timber. If you really wanted and you were short on cash, and this is assuming, let's say, that Gabriel obviously is out for a month or two, there is a potential option to maybe even get Mosquera at 5.4 million. I am assuming he might be the one that potentially plays instead of Gabriel and not Hincapi, but I could be wrong on that. So this is it's a bit more of a risk where maybe it's not worth taking. If someone was wildcarding like next week, then you would have a bit more information on who's going to be playing, whether that's Mosquera or Hincapi. But that's a cheaper alternative that is at least for a month or two until Gabriel is back, that you could probably use him instead. That's something to kind of consider. Although Arteta could rotate that spots between those two defenders as well, but he rarely rotates his defense that much, where at least the central defense that much. So who knows? That is an option. I'm just giving you guys out there. Richards, I've gone again, budget issues. If you could get to Lacroix, I would prefer Lacroix. If we knew Guehi was fit, I would have suggested Guehi in this one as well. But Richards for the budget is really good. Senesi, I've gone there. Yes, they haven't kept a few clean sheets recently, but the upcoming fixtures are not too bad, which is why I've gone for Senesi and Defcon as well, so he's pretty good. Now, in midfield, we've gone for Semenyo, Weaver, Rice, Mbuemo, and Salah. Now, this is where the sacrifices are made because of Mo Salah. Now, it's completely up to you whether you wanted to go Salah or no Salah. If you didn't go Salah and you still wanted a Liverpool player, you could probably go Szoboszlai if you wanted in here. I mean, Gakpo would be nice, but we don't know about Gakpo's minutes, so we can't trust it. So, which is why maybe Szoboszlai's minutes are a bit more secure, but he's not that great as well as an option. But if you did go like, let's say, a Gakpo, then you could upgrade Declan Rice to a Saka, for example. Like, so you could go Salah to Szoboszlai, like I mentioned. Let me switch this. And then you could switch Declan Rice to basically Saka. And that also gives you way more funds to even upgrade Weaver here. I've gone for him as a cheap option because Brighton, he's playing well. He's getting Defcon here. And as a 4.9 million midfielder, he's getting Defcon as well because he plays at right back. And Brighton's fixtures are not too bad, like I mentioned earlier. You could upgrade him to an Ismail Sarr as well. So there are few moves that you could do. And even then, you still have a bit more cash in the bank where like 2.5. You could even upgrade Richards if you wanted to Lacroix, or you could upgrade O'Reilly to, so you could still have Richards and you could upgrade O'Reilly to Munoz as well. So it all depends on whether you wanted Salah in your draft or not. And then obviously Semenyo, I think he should be fine. He left international duty for personal reasons to propose. So I think he should be fine, which is why I've still added him because the fixtures for Bournemouth are good. That's why. Up front, we've gone Haaland, Mateta as the pairing. Now, if you wanted, now, like I said, right, you have cash. Can you get to Joe Pedro? No, you can't. Okay. So you can't really get to Joe Pedro. You kind of have to slightly maybe go for like Weaver. Instead of Szoboszlai, maybe go for Weaver. You could also, if you didn't really want to go for Szoboszlai, you can also go for Declan Rice, I should mention. So there are options in the wildcard draft that you can do. You don't even have to go for Liverpool player. Let's say you could go Rice, Saka, and you didn't want to go for Timber. Fine, you can go for Van Dijk as well as an option. Although I don't expect Liverpool to keep too many clean sheets, to be honest. But the fixtures are there, but I still don't expect them. He might get Defcon, but I still want, at that price, I want a high percentage of clean sheets as well because of the money we're paying. So you could do something like this, and then that could allow you next week to give one more week's info to see actually who's going to be playing, whether that's Hincapi or Mosquera in Arsenal's defense instead of Gabriel, and then pick a defender from there instead for, let's say, a Senesi replacement later if you wanted to as well. So those are a couple options that you could consider as well, because Arsenal's current set of fixtures, even though their defense is elite, you could say on paper Spurs and Chelsea are not the best set of fixtures you would want them for. So 2 fixtures you can kind of avoid, and then obviously get like the Gabriel replacement in 14, for example. So you could do something like that as well and have that Arsenal spot open. So that's one thing. Oh, and also if you have the cash like this, you could even upgrade Verbruggen to David Raya. Simple. And then just have your Arsenal defensive cover with David Raya. Although I don't think at 5.5 or 5.6 million a goalkeeper is that worth it, to be honest, at that price personally. That's at least my like way of approaching goalkeepers. So that's a wildcard draft. Now, this is what Solio Analytics gave me. I had to kind of ban Gabriel because I think it's still kind of suggesting Gabriel because it hasn't updated that it's fully out. And when I went and asked for a wildcard draft, it gave me David Raya, delete Senesi, Lacroix, Virgil. So obviously we mentioned Senesi, Lacroix, Richards. If you have the cash like this one has, obviously 2.5, you could have upgraded Richards to Lacroix. It's gone for delete. Now, United's fixtures are good, but I'm not fully certain on our defensive stability just yet. I think we haven't shown defensive stability to be able to like kind of go and say, okay, we're worth investing in, which is why I probably wouldn't look at delete, and that's why I didn't suggest him on the wildcard draft. Bruno is there. Now I had, did I have Mbuemo? Yeah, I had Mbuemo instead because I preferred Mbuemo over Bruno because of the more attacking option. But you go for Bruno Fernandes as well, but I prefer Mbuemo here. Saka mentioned, Semenyo mentioned, Szoboszlai we mentioned as well. And it's gone only for one striker in Haaland. It's gone for a very cheap Thiago and Mark Hughes. So no Mateta in this one. But I would prefer to go for Mateta if you can. This has 0.6 in the bank. So obviously the money has gone in the defense because of the expensive goalkeeper and also slightly more expensive backline. That's why no Mateta in this one. So obviously that's one thing to kind of consider whether you wanted to approach it this way. It's gone for Kelleher as well in goal. So it's rotating between Raya and Kelleher as a rotation pairing. Is that a decent rotation pairing? Like Arsenal, when they play Chelsea, Brentford will have Burnley. It's not too bad. And then when Arsenal play Bournemouth, Brentford have Everton. Arsenal play Liverpool, Brentford have Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. When Arsenal play United, Brentford have Forest. That's actually not a bad rotation pairing as well. In terms of Kelleher and Raya, but that's very expensive for goalkeepers for my taste, to be honest, like as a combination that you're spending on keepers. All right, so that's the wildcard draft. Now let's get into, let me save this so that if I want to show it on the deadline stream, I can. And let me load the free hit draft. Now this is a free hit Game Week 13 draft. I've gone for Sanchez in goal against Burnley. I've gone for a 4-3-3 formation, mainly because I wanted to try on a free hit. I wanted to see if I could get Salah and Haaland both in. That is purely the reason, and which is why I've taken a punt on Mosquera. I don't know if that's the wisest of punts. Maybe you could have gone for, in this case, you could have gone for like a delete, to be honest, if we don't know who exactly is going to start from Arsenal's defense. But I've gone for Sanchez and Chalobah as a double Chelsea defense. I've gone for Senesi, Richards, Mosquera, Salah, Mbuemo, Joe Pedro, Haaland, and Mateta. I've just basically, the idea was target Bournemouth, I think get Bournemouth players to target West Ham, get Chelsea players to target Burnley, get Crystal Palace players to target Wolves. I didn't go Sunderland and Fulham because I feel like that's a bit more of a cagey game. I got a Liverpool player to try and get something from Forest. And we have Mbuemo for United against Everton, as those are the only good fixtures. Like there's only a small sample size of good fixtures, which is why I've gone for something like this with 0.4 in the bank. Probably could have got Munoz in. Can I get Munoz? No. So if I was to get Munoz, I would have to have let go of Ismail Sarr. Maybe I could have done Ismail Sarr to Declan Rice. And because I still have one more Arsenal spot, and I could have gone Munoz instead of Mosquera to be a bit more safer in terms of player minutes and what to kind of expect. Could have done something like this. Munoz, yeah, and I still, I have point. Okay, I can't do it, unfortunately. So if you have the budget to do it, maybe you could think about it. But I could go Lacroix. That I do know because I have Lacroix is obviously cheaper than Mosquera. Now, from Solio Analytics, they gave this as a free hit draft. They go for Raya, Lacroix, like we just mentioned, Richards, and Saliba as an option. So they've still gone the Arsenal defender. We've taken a punt on Mosquera. We have Richards, obviously. So they don't have Chelsea defense in this one. They've not gone for Chelsea defense because Chelsea are away. But however, they have Sanchez on the bench. So you don't really need to go for an expensive bench on a free hit generally, but it's gone for it anyways. In midfield, they've gone for Fernandes, Salah, Saka, Semenyo, and Szoboszlai. This is actually not too bad, to be honest, when you look at it. The only sacrifice here that's been made is no Haaland. As you can see, a front line of Mateta and Welbeck. That's why they've been able to afford a very expensive midfield. Now, you could go without Haaland. You could say it is against Newcastle, slightly harder fixture. But because of the form Haaland has been on, I am a bit more like risk averse in terms of not having him in the team. At least, even if you weren't going to captain him, I would still try and have him in the team. Here, obviously, the model has gone for no Haaland because of the fixture, and they've gone for a stacked midfield and hoping that it could work. So obviously, those are a few trade-offs that you have to consider. So I've shown you the option, but a model would also pick. But yeah, let me know if you reached up to this point. Let me know, are you playing one of these chips this week, or are you playing a bench boost as well? Let me know in the comments. And hopefully this has helped you. And also for those of you who play the wildcard, maybe this helped you in terms of trying to figure out which players you would want to target. If you reached up to this point, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'll be live tomorrow for the deadline stream at 9:30 p.m. Sydney time. So make sure to join me for that. The stream will be scheduled tomorrow, so hit the notification so that you get notified when we go live. Deadline is on Saturday, but I'm doing it tomorrow because I'm not going to be available on the Saturday. That's why. All right, thank you all for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'll see you all